What's up, YouTube? It's Mike here, back with another video. If you haven't already, I ask you to please subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell for notifications, and if you like the video, please like the video. Liking the video really helps me out more than you guys might know, and if you really like the videos, I ask you to share them. That would be huge. In this video, it is finally time to start working on the 600 gallon again. I got a little bit of time to work on it, and I have a few things that I needed to start by doing, and one of them is moving the tank. And I talked about this a couple videos ago, that I was not able to move the tank on my own, and a bunch of people gave me a bunch of recommendations, and really I need a floor jack, but I don't have a good floor jack, and I didn't want to, well, it's not that I didn't want to go buy one, but I did not go out and buy one, so I utilized what I have, and you'll see that in this video today. We also got a little bit of the plumbing done, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the goal is to get this tank and stand up off the ground enough to get my rollers underneath it, so it's easier for me to move around by myself. When we moved it in here, I should have had us put it on those anyway. I don't know why I didn't. I thought I could slide it around a little easier than I can, I guess, but I can't. So my plan is to jack it up. All I have is a bottle jack, so it's gonna suck. It's not gonna be very easy. I'm gonna try to get up high enough to do it. That's the goal. But yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do about getting it onto the rollers today. Here's what I came up with. I realize that it is a bit sketchy. Some of this is screwed together, if that makes you guys feel better. But I think that I'll be able to do what I need to do. Gonna get one side up off the ground enough. Let's see if it works. I think we're there. Well, I'm concerned with this rolling when I lift this side, so to try to avoid that, I wrapped some socks around the wheels. Shout out Palmer Aquatics. And I put some blocks to kind of stop it from rolling. It could technically still go side to side. I don't know. We'll see. But screw it. I'm gonna try it anyway. We're gonna go for it. And I'm gonna keep blocks underneath here as I go. So that way if this was to break or if anything really kind of moves, it's just going to land on the blocks. Ideally, I can't really mess anything up. That's the goal here. Alright, getting sketchier and sketchier, and to be honest, now I'm just filming this because it might be a disaster. I think people should see me die. It's gonna happen. We should all see it happen.
Wow. That got dark.
Woo, great success. glad that that's done. Now I can easily move this thing out of the way, get behind it, and do what I need to do. So I had to put my drain back so I can continue to backwash this weekly. I basically need to backwash it once a week, and it's a real problem because it makes it impossible for me to work on this tank, and then to kind of drain this line, you gotta like take it apart. It's a real pain in the butt the way I've got this set up, as it's obviously only temporary, that's why I did it, but it's a real pain in the butt. So I'm gonna backwash this thing, and then I'm gonna break this down again. It's just, there's no easy way. I really wish that I could set this up over there with temporary lines running to this tank to keep it cycled until I've got this thing going, but that's not practical either. I'm just gonna have to work around these problems, these issues. So again, I'm gonna backwash this so I can get that backwash line out of the way, pull the tank out, and then I can do the plumbing. I've got a whole bunch of plumbing parts, a bunch of fittings and stuff ready for it. At least I can do the drains and start figuring out how I want to do the returns. They're kind of complicated. And I've got a surprise for this tank, and that's one of the things that's delayed me on it. Besides, I can't get out of my own way, to be honest, anyway. But I have delayed on this because I'm waiting on something, and I'll kind of tell you guys at the end what I've got coming. But for now, let's do some of the plumbing. The plumbing has to be done first, no matter what, and we will get into the other stuff later. So I know a lot of people ask about these bead filters. They think they're sand filters. They're not sand filters, they're bead filters. But they're convenient because you can just backwash them to clean them. So all I do is I turn the pump off, and then I switch this valve over to backwash here, and then I turn the pump back on. And you'll see right now, water's coming out clear, but as time goes, you'll see how dirty it gets. And that's all the crap that these things pick up. And basically, I let it backwash until it runs clear. And then you know you've cleaned the beads inside the filter. And I'm sorry, I'm doing the filter socks right now. They're being washed in the washing machine, so that might be a little loud, so I apologize. But as you can see, all the dirt that comes out when you backwash. You can even hear, I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but you can even hear the beads swirling around inside. And my drain here is a lot smaller than what this pump is putting out for water, so I have to do it in increments. Once this fills up, I kind of come over here, stop the pump again, let that drain down, and then I'll do it again until it runs clear. So we are running it again. They recommend like 30 seconds, but again, I run it until we get it nice and clean, which it looks like we are clean right now. But I'm gonna let it go a little bit longer. All right, so now that we have backwashed, we turn the pump off again, and we switch it to rinse. So now we are set to rinse. We're gonna turn the pump back on. And this is just rinsing the media out, making sure there's no more debris in there. And this part, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use this as a water change. So I'm gonna do a couple of increments of this. Again, I have to shut it off because I don't wanna overflow my sink. But I'm gonna do a couple of increments of this to do a nice water change on the tank. I usually try to do like about a quarter of the tank this way. And then I let it fill itself back up slowly with the drip system that it's on anyway. Okay, so we brought it down, maybe a quarter, maybe a little less, maybe more like a fifth of the way. Turn the pump off, and we're just gonna switch it back to filtration. Turn the pump back on. And we're back in hammering out water here. So these things are pretty simple, they're super convenient, and that's why I'm going to be running 3 of them. So I've got a similar setup over here. This one's a little more complicated to backwash, but I put this on the backwash valve and I run a hose out the window. It's really not that difficult, and I don't have to do it as often. So yeah, really simple. And then I will figure out a simple way to backwash this one. It'll probably be a similar thing with like a hose, or I can go to this, although I could probably bring it right to the sink, but it would fill up the sink really quick because it's gonna be a much bigger pump. So I'd have to be careful doing it that way. But I can always use my big hose here and just run it outside. So that's why I'm switching over to these. If you guys were wondering, I figured I would show you guys that process because I have to take this back off like I was saying so we can pull the tank out to start the plumbing. Got that out of the way. Now we're gonna slide the tank out. Should be relatively easy. I think I've got just enough room. I'm gonna put the camera down. So we've got the start of our 2 drain lines. We're gonna come down with a ball valve and then a threaded union so we can shut these off and have threaded unions so we can take the plumbing off really easily. The reason why I use threaded and not slip, a lot of people are like, oh well, slip is likely to leak and you can have problems. Well, yeah, if you don't do it right, they'll leak, which can be annoying. This is actually a very annoying system. It'd be way easier to use slip, but this is the easiest way for me to push this tank as close to the wall as possible and still be able to remove the plumbing. So the goal is I would never have to like cut this off or have any complications getting this off in this way. So again, this is so I can remove this easily if I ever had to in the future, if I have to break the tank down. If I do it slip, then it's permanently cemented in, and I'd never be able to take this apart and get it out of the tank in the future. I mean, you'd have to break it off, and then you risk breaking the tank. Like, it just makes it really complicated to do it in any other way than this. So, although I do risk these leaking, I'll have to tighten them up if they leak. Huge pain in the ass. We're hoping to avoid that. Hopefully I do it right the first time and they're not gonna leak. So the bulkheads are 2-inch, but this is all 1.5 inch. So I'm going to reduce the 2-inch bulkheads, those 90s. I'm gonna reduce them down to 1.5 inch, and then I will add a ball valve and then a union right after that. So this is one piece all put together. This is gonna connect to each drain here, so you can easily shut off and disconnect if necessary, and it also reduces down to the size that we need for the filter. So I'm gonna do make a whole nother one of these for the other drain, and then I will have at least 2 of my shutoffs done. So we've got our 2 shutoffs now. That's a good start. Well on our way to being able to fill it. I did make a decision on these bottom holes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put bulkheads in them and cap them instead of permanently patching them. That's just in case I ever do decide I want to use them. I'd rather just have the holes available, but a nice flush look. So I've got flush caps here for bulkheads, so it'll only be raised up maybe a little over 1/4 inch, so less than 1/2 inch will be raised up, and I plan on having substrate in this tank, so the substrate should cover those. So once these 3 are plugged, I have to order another bulkhead for this one because I thought that it was a 2-inch hole. It looked really close, and it's not. I can't fit a 2-inch bulkhead in there, unfortunately. So I have to order an 1 3/4 inch bulkhead for that one, and I am going to just cap that as well. And so I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, okay, great, well, you did some of the drains and that plumbing looks absolutely terrible, and now you're talking about having another bulkhead on the back wall with a plug in it. That's gonna look terrible. And then we've got these 3 up here. I am gonna use them as returns, I think, but I am gonna have to find a way to utilize all these holes up top in a way that not only makes sense but doesn't look terrible. But you guys are thinking, oh, you got white plumbing, you should have at least painted it and blah blah blah. I have a plan, and that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about. What I ended up doing was I spent a little bit of money and I ordered a background for this tank. So I ordered a background from Universal Rocks for the tank. It's a flat background. It will require me do some custom cutting, but I think it is going to be a huge improvement to the tank, especially because we've got all these holes. So like, for instance, this one I was just talking about, which is bigger than 2-inch, that one I'm gonna just cover right over with the background. And up here, I do have to weld a piece of acrylic over this old crappy overflow that the previous owner made, but the background is gonna cover right over that. So a lot of it you're not gonna see, and it's even tempting me to not use these back holes as returns at all and just use the side ones. Haven't fully decided yet. That's something I might do, but you guys get the point. That background is going to save me from a lot of ugly looking problems. So I hope you guys like that idea. Now the background isn't exactly what I wanted. I would have loved something a little bit more 3D, that kind of like made by Aqua Decor. No offense to Universal Rocks, but I feel like Aqua Decor has some nicer options and they look a lot more realistic. However, I did get prices from Aqua Decor and they are absolutely outrageous. I also got a price, I never talked to you guys about this, but I got a price from Aqua Decor to do a background for my 1,500 gallon. The lights are off right now, but you get the point. It's 16 foot by basically 4 foot is what I wanted for the background from them. Long story short, they quoted me $2,500, which is basically more than the tank cost me to build. Absolutely absurd, $2,500 for a background like that. Granted, they look good, but I think that is crazy overpriced. I could see like $1,000, $1,000, something like that, and I probably would have went for it for $1,000, but there was no way in hell that I was spending $2,500 on a background for that tank. And for this tank, I got a quote for almost $900. And this is 8 by 30 inches. So 8 foot by 30 inches, 2.5 foot tall. Again, $900 for that, I just feel like is way over the top. I got the tank for $1,000. So I just, I can't justify it. What I'm getting from Universal Rocks, granted, is not quite as 3D, not quite as nice, but it is literally less than half the price. And I'm gonna have extra from it to do another smaller tank with, which is kind of cool. Not that I need it, but it's at least something. So I'm actually getting 2 tank backgrounds out of it. They're obviously gonna be identical for literally less than half the price. This will be really customizable, which I mean, any of them would be, but I'll be able to customize it around my drains. And I think it's going to really clean this up nice. But the whole project itself, I think, is epic in a lot of ways. Just the size alone is epic. And then the plan for stocking is still pretty cool, even though a lot of you guys might be disappointed that it's not gonna be like a heavily planted tank. So that's it for this video, guys. It's really, really hot down here. It's getting worse as the summer goes on, so it's hard for me to spend too much time down here at once, especially when I'm working and moving around. I just sweat so much, takes a lot out of you. I'm even having problems keeping the tanks cooler because they are starting to overheat. They're into the mid 80s, so it's getting a little warm. I've been dumping some ice in and stuff. Hopefully the heat wave goes away soon enough. That'll make it a little easier for me to keep the tanks cooler, and it'll also make it easier for me to work down here. But did get a good amount done. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I ask you again, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you like this kind of content, ring that notification bell for notifications. Follow me on Instagram at OffTheDeepEndAquatics, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks.